Hello everyone, and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Brooke Logan stood in the Forrester living room, where she had married Ridge the first, second, third, and subsequent times. The afternoon sun slanted through the tall windows, catching on the diamonds in her ears, which Ridge had given her on their last wedding day, and which she still wore despite the fact that their marriage had been annulled 6 months earlier. She had asked everyone to come. Eric, Stephanie's portrait glaring down from above the fireplace like an uninvited guest. Ridge, of course, because this was mostly about him. Hope and Bridget, her daughters who had learned long ago that their mother's life was a revolving door of secrets. Steffi and Thomas, who had never fully trusted her and probably never would. Donna and Katie, her sisters who loved her despite everything. And Bill Spencer, because some habit she had not explained why they were there. Only that it could not wait another day. The room was quiet except for the ticking of the grandfather clock Eric had brought back from Italy in 1992. Brooke's hands trembled as she smoothed the skirt of the pale blue dress she had chosen because it was the same shade she had worn the night everything began, 33 years ago. Ridge was the first to speak. "Brooke, whatever it is, we'll get through it. Just tell us." She looked at him, really looked at him, the man she had loved since she was 25 years old, the man whose face still made her heart skip a beat despite all the lies, heartbreak, and time. His eyes were concerned, yet they were the same ones that had glanced at her across a science lab at college and transformed her life forever. "I'm not sure you'll get through this one, Ridge," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm not sure any of us will." Hope stepped forward. "Mom, you're scaring us." Brooke drew a deep breath that seemed to fill the entire room. "There isn't an easy way to express this, so I'll just say it. 33 years ago, when I was married to Eric, I got pregnant." There was a ripple in the room, but it was the kind that happens when people think they already know the punchline. Bridget's hand went to her throat. "Mom, we know you were pregnant with me." "You've never hidden that," Brooke said, shaking her head. "No, sweetheart. I was pregnant before you. Before Rick. Before any of the children we've all claimed over the years." Eric's cane slipped from his grasp and clattered on the hardwood floor. It sounded like a gunshot. Ridge's face went very still. "Brooke, what are you saying?" She turned to him fully now, tears already sliding down her cheeks. "The night of the Forrester Masquerade Ball in 1992, do you remember it? The one where we all wore those ridiculous Venetian masks and no one knew who anyone was until midnight?" Ridge nodded slowly. "I remember. You were wearing a gold dress and a mask with peacock feathers. I kissed you on the terrace. I assumed you were Caroline." Brooke closed her eyes. "I let you think that. I wanted you to think that. Because I was married to your father, and you were grieving Caroline, and I was lonely, and God help me. Ridge, I had wanted you from the first moment I saw you." Donna gasped. Katie grasped for her sister's hand. Brooke continued talking, the words tumbling out now like water over a shattered dam. "That night wasn't the only time. It happened again and again throughout the next months. Stolen moments. The guest house. The office after hours. The cabin in Big Bear when Eric assumed I was visiting my mother. I convinced myself it was just an affair. That it would burn away. That no one would ever have to know." She looked at Eric now, the man who had loved her when she was just a caterer from the valley with big dreams and bigger mistakes. "I'm so sorry, Eric. I deceived you in the worst possible way. And then I discovered I was pregnant, and I had no idea who the baby was." Eric's face had turned ashen. He sunk gently onto the leather recliner as though his legs had simply given up. Ridge had not moved. He appeared chiseled from stone. Brooke wiped her tears with the back of her hand. "I was terrified. If the kid was Eric's, everything could remain as it was. Ridge, if the baby were yours, everything would burst. I did the only thing I could think of. I waited. I prayed. And as the baby began to show, I wore the loosest clothes I could find, smiled, planned a nursery, and convinced myself the time could work either way." Bridget's voice was quiet. "Mom, are you referring to one of us?" Brooke turned to her eldest daughter, the youngster everyone had assumed was Eric's. Rick was born in September 1993. The physicians determined that he was full term. Eric never questioned it. Why should he? We'd been trying for a baby. But Rick arrived early, Bridget. According to my calculations, this is 2 weeks early or even more. And the reality is, I never knew. I never let myself know. Because if I confessed that Rick may be Ridge's son, I would have had to reveal the truth, and I wasn't strong enough. The room had become so quiet that the ticking clock seemed like a heartbeat. Hope's eyes were big. Are you saying Rick could be my brother or uncle? Brooke made a broken sound that was half chuckle, half sob. Yes. That is exactly what I am saying. Steffi's voice pierced the silence like a dagger. And you kept it to yourself for 33 years? You allowed my grandfather raise a child who may be my uncle? You allowed Rick to grow up believing Eric was his father while you... Steffi, Ridge admonished, his voice hoarse. No, Brooke replied, holding up a hand. She's entitled to feel angry. It's okay to be angry. I was cowardly. I assured myself that I was protecting everyone. Protecting Eric's heart. Ridge is being protected from guilt. Protecting the baby, whichever man he belonged to, from becoming embroiled in scandal. But honestly, I was defending myself. After losing everything. Again. Bill Spencer, who had been leaning against the bar cart with his arms folded, finally spoke up. Is there more, Brooke? You wouldn't bring us all here just to confess an old maybe. Brooke looked at him, grateful and afraid. Bill had always seen through her. Yes, she answered. There's more. She reached into her dress pocket and brought out a folded piece of paper, the edges worn soft from years of handling in secret. 2 months ago, I had a normal physical. They performed the standard blood work. They also inquired about family history as part of a new hereditary screening process. I went into a panic. I lied. And then I couldn't fall asleep. So I did what I vowed I would never do. She unfolded the paper with trembling fingers. I requested DNA tests. Discreet ones. I still had 1 lock of Rick's newborn hair. And Ridge, I apologize for taking a sample from a coffee cup you left at my house last year. I sent them to 2 different labs because I didn't trust myself to believe just one result. Ridge eventually moved. He crossed the room in 3 steps, taking the paper from her grasp. His eyes skimmed the lines, and Brooke noticed the color draining from his face. No, he muttered. Yes, she answered. Ridge Forrester looked up at her and appeared to be in tears for the first time in all the years she had known him. Rick is my son. The words hung in the air like smoke from an explosion. Eric made a low grunt in his throat that was part anguish and part wrath. Bridget was openly bawling. Hope had her arms curled over herself, as if she was holding her body together with power. Thomas looked like he had been hit in the stomach. Steffi's eyes were filled with a genuine wrath that almost like triumph. Brooke continued to speak because she knew she wouldn't be able to stop. I did not know, Ridge. I swear to you, I didn't know until these findings arrived. All these years, I persuaded myself that the moment was right for Eric, that Rick resembled him, and that it was better not to ruin everything for a chance. But it was not an option. This was the truth. And I stole it from both of you. Ridge's voice broke. You stole my son. I know. You let me watch him grow up and call another guy dad. I know. You let me treat him like a stepson or rival, like... God, Brooke, do you understand what this means? She took a step forward, tears flowing down her cheeks. This means Rick is a Forrester. Truly. Completely. It signifies he is your firstborn son. Thank God. It means Bridget is still Eric's kid, which was the only thing I knew for certain. But Rick is yours. Eric stood slowly, leaning heavily on the chair arm. All those years, he remarked, his voice rough. I adored that boy. I reared him. I gave him my name. And you made me believe. He couldn't finish. I'm sorry, Brooke muttered. Bill pushed away from the bar cart. I'm more sorry than I can ever say. Does Rick know? Brooke shakes her head. Not yet. I wanted to tell you all first. Together. Because this no longer belongs only to me. It never happened. Hope found her voice. Mom, how could you keep this from him? From each of us? Because I felt ashamed, Brooke replied simply. Because every time I considered speaking the truth, I pictured this moment. I imagined losing you all. And I chose the lie because I wasn't brave enough to face the consequences. Rich stared at the DNA results as if it would bite him. 33 years, he said. I have a 32-year-old son, and I never knew. Brooke reached for him, but he backed aside. The rejection went deeper than any words could have. I know you hate me right now, she added. I do not blame you. I hate myself, Steffi said, laughing sharply and bitterly. Oh, please. Brooke, spare us the self-pity. You do not get to play the victim here. You wrecked 2 families with one selfish decision and then spent 3 decades covering it up. Steffi, Eric warned, but with no force. No, Dad, Steffi snapped. Granddad is entitled to be furious. My father is entitled to be angry. We all do. Thomas spoke for the first time, his voice soft. Rick's my brother, he admitted nearly to himself. Not my half-brother. My full brother. Hope gazed at him, then at Bridget. That means Rick and Bridget are not siblings at all. Biologically. Bridget wiped her tears. I always knew Mom's life was complicated, but this, incomprehensible, Katie added. Donna, who had been crying quietly, eventually spoke. Brooke, why now? After all this time? Brooke stared at her younger sister, who had always believed in her, no matter what. Because I'm tired, she explained. Because every time I look at Rick, I see Ridge. The way he smiles, the way he designs, the way he loves wholeheartedly and then breaks it nonetheless. And I knew I can't keep carrying this alone. Rick deserves to understand who he is. Ridge deserves to know his son. Eric deserves the truth, even if it destroys everything we have. Ridge carefully folded the paper and tucked it into his pocket. I deserve whatever comes next. He stared at Brooke again, his eyes tearful yet firm. I need to see him, he explained. I need to talk to Rick. I know, Brooke answered. I will call him. I'll tell him to come home. No, Ridge responded. I'll go see him. Brooke, this is not your moment anymore. You have no control over how this unfolds right now. She nodded, accepting it. Whatever you need. He began to walk toward the door, but came to a halt. Without looking around, he inquired, was there ever a point in all these years when you were going to tell me? Brooke's voice broke entirely. Every day. Ridge went without saying anything else. The front door closed with a finality that reverberated throughout the home. Eric took a long glance at Brooke before turning and walking out onto the terrace. Bridget followed him with her arms around her waist. The others drifted away one by one, Steffi and Thomas to the kitchen, Hope to the garden, and Katie and Donna to sit together on the sofa and cry. Brooke stood alone in the room where so many of her life's events had occurred. Stephanie's image looked down upon her with painted eyes full of judgment. She mumbled, I'm sorry, to the empty room, unsure who she was apologizing to, Eric, Ridge, Rick, her children, or the girl she used to be. Outside, the sun continued to shine, oblivious to the idea that everything had just altered forever. And somewhere in Los Angeles, Rick Forrester was about to have a conversation that would change his entire existence. But that is a story for another day. Brooke Logan stood in the wreckage of the truth she had finally set free, breathing for the first time in 33 years. For years, the Forrester estate had been a location where secrets were as firmly buried as the roots of the ancient oaks that surrounded the mansion. Loyalties altered, passions erupted, and betrayals left permanent scars. But no one was prepared for what Brooke Logan was about to reveal. The tension in the living room was as heavy as any Forrester showdown in decades. Everyone had assembled because Brooke felt it was vital, her voice shaking in a way that indicated this wasn't another overblown mistake or one of those fleeting family feuds. This was different. This was larger. Even though no one knew what she was going to say, they had a feeling that life, as they knew it, was about to change. Brooke stood near the fireplace, her fingers trembling on the marble mantel. Her gaze swept the room. Ridge, Hope, Steffi, Taylor, Eric, Donna, and even Liam had sat down, pulled by the strange gravity of her message. She had urged them all to come here. Even people were rarely approached directly. That was enough to raise suspicions. Brooke stopped speaking for a time. She merely inhaled deeply, as if grappling with words that had been inside her for over 3 decades, things she despised, hated, and could no longer hide. Ridge leaned forwards, his voice gentle. "Logan, just say it. We're here." Her glance flickered to his, not with adoration or wrath, but with deep sadness. "I'm not sure you'll say that when you hear it." Hope's eyes were wide with concern. "Mom, please, you're scaring us." Brooke nodded slightly. She was aware of who she was. She could see the fear on their faces and feel the weight of generations of family turmoil weighing down on her. But the truth had remained within her like a ghost. And ghosts, she had learnt, never remained silent indefinitely. "I've kept a secret for 33 years, she finally confessed, barely above a whisper. "A secret I never intended to share. But it's time. I can't carry it any longer." The room froze. Steffi exchanged apprehensive looks with Taylor. Donna gripped her hands hard. Eric's brow pinched in dread, as if he were expecting something terrible. Brooke gulped hard. "What I'm about to say will change everything for this family." Ridge was staring at me. "Is it about us? About something we went through? Something with Stephanie? Something about my father?" "No," Brooke replied softly. "It's about a person you all believe you know. Someone whose life may have gone quite differently if I had taken a different decision all those years ago." A wave of confusion swept over the audience. Brooke's throat clenched, but she pushed onward. "I made a decision 33 years ago following an incident at the Forrester cabin. And I never told anyone what really happened." Taylor leaned forward. "What type of incident?" Brooke closed her eyes, tears falling down her cheeks. "A child has been born. A child none of you knew existed." The shock in the room was immediate and tremendous. Hope gave a gulp. "What? Mom, what are you talking about?" Steffi shook her head sharply. "You mean another sibling? Another Forrester? Another Logan?" Her tone was strained, half disbelieving, half enraged. "Who is the father?" Ridge's voice crackled. "Brooke, have you had a child without telling me?" Brooke raised her hand. "Please, just let me finish." The room became quiet, yet the tension surged like a heartbeat. "I was young," she explained softly. "I felt bewildered, overwhelmed, and afraid. I made a decision that I believed was best for everyone, including the baby. I kept it private. I didn't tell the father because I didn't want to disrupt his life," Donna exclaimed gently, hiding her mouth. "Brooke, have you never told me? I told you everything when you were younger, but now?" Brooke nodded guiltily. "I understand, and I apologize. But I wasn't prepared to face the consequences of my actions." Hope's eyes welled up with tears. "So you're saying I have another sibling? Is there someone out there that we do not know?" Brooke's voice cracked. "Yes." Ridge stood slowly, incredulity written across his features. "Brooke, whose child was it? There were only a few people you were involved with at the time. Was it me?" Her breath caught. "No." Relief flowed across one area of the room, while tension increased in another. Ridge sat down and braced himself. Eric leaned forwards, his voice low and steady. "Brooke, you should say it. Tell us who the father is." Brooke paused for a long period, her gaze fixed on Eric. The room became strangely silent. Donna's breath caught. Ridge's expression stiffened. Taylor's eyes furrowed with suspicion. Brooke muttered, "I did not want to hurt anyone. I didn't want to cause further pain. This is why I kept it hidden. But, Eric, it's you." Gasps resonated across the room. Steffi's eyes widened with disbelief. Ridge froze, his jaw clenched hard. Donna let out a sound somewhere between a shriek and a gasp, and Eric slapped a quivering hand against his brow. "Me?" Eric whispered. "Brooke, what are you saying?" She nodded, tears flowing freely. "We were close then, Eric. You were vulnerable. Stephanie pushed you away. Things happened. It was not intended. But when I discovered I was pregnant, I panicked. Following the delivery, I made a stupid, impetuous decision. I let someone else to adopt the baby. Someone who promised to keep it private. Eric looked at her, saddened. You should have told me. You should have informed all of us. Brooke nodded, frightened. I understand. I've regretted it every day. But I kept telling myself that it was too late to correct it. Too late to explain. Hope wiped away her tears. Mom, where is this child now?
Who are they?
Brooke's expression changed, fear mixed with a reluctant conviction. That's the toughest part of all, because you have all met this person. More than once. Everyone stiffened. Hope said, You know who they are? Yes, Brooke replied. I have known for a long time, but I didn't notice at first. Not until I saw their eyes, and it struck me like a thunderbolt. Steffi shook her head, perplexed and indignant.
Who?
Who is this, Brooke? Brooke's voice softened. He grew powerful.
Determined.
He created a life for himself. And none of you ever suspected anything.